really like the intention discussion we had and thinking and thought
Okay.
and distinguishing between those.
Okay.
Because I really think it's important that people realize what's really them
Okay.
coming, like creating versus
Okay.
the automatic computing.
Okay.
You
So
know,
let's see if we can cover that a little bit better. Okay. So we were talking about intention, right?
yes.
And how we got here, if I remember correctly, we were talking about the what comes first. So, but we were talking about the thought, action, emotion triangle, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we know that the emotion. Let's just so we clarify what emotion is. Emotion is a something that happens after motion. Okay, so it's the after effect of motion.
Okay.
So we know that this triangle, that action creates emotion. Okay,
Makes sense.
or ultimately ends in motion. But what creates thought? Right? What is thought? So that's what we want to discuss. What is thought?
Yeah, exactly.
If we look at the human mind, okay, the human mind is, if we call this the human mind, it's a series of pictures. Correct? And thought is replaying of pictures. Okay?
Yes.
And where did all those pictures come from? They come from our past.
Yes.
Okay? So everything that's in our past, there's no creation there. So if we replay pictures from our past, so thought ends up here. Okay?
All right. Well, let's quickly do an example of thought then.
Okay. I'm trying to come up with, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If I'm playing cards, okay, and I'm playing bridge with 4 people, and I'm playing the bridge and I'm trying to think about which play to play next. Well, in order to make that next play, and I'm thinking, I'm replaying every play that I've done in bridge in the past. Picture, 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 picture. I'm looking for at what point in the past did I have that same scenario? What point in the past was it?
Similar. Yeah.
Similar,
Yeah.
right? But I'm always referring to the past, referring to the past, referring to the past.
That's true. And you're going through that hell of, okay, that was similar, and then that went that way. Oh, but this one went that way. Oh, geez, now which one do I?
And so basically what we get is we get this circular thing going on here, or this circular thing going on. Okay. And nothing creative ever comes out of that. In fact, if you stay in it long enough, you become psychotic.
Yeah, just playing bridge would do it to you.
Yeah.
But there is a bit of you still there because you're the one looking at the pictures, and
There's a bit of you there, yes, but you're not controlling. You're not in a control situation. The only reason you're looking at the pictures is because you're playing bridge.
Right.
Okay, so somebody took an action. Okay, remember we're talking about which comes first. Action, which comes first. We said that action creates an emotion, which ends in thought. Okay? So somebody creates an action, plays a bridge card.
Right.
Boom. Right? You have an emotion.
You're either upset or happy.
Okay, well,
With that card,
have you ever
right?
watched people play cards?
Of course.
If you watched my dad play cards, it was incredible. When somebody played the wrong card, that he just exploded. Or he had the emotion of glee, right? You could just see he was just, oh man, that was great. And he can't wait to play his next card because, right? Or if his partner played the wrong card.
Oh my God, yes.
Or if the competitor, opposition, played a card that he think wouldn't be the way you play that hand. The emotion was just over the top.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, actually.
It was actually over the top, right?
And I could tell if my dad was doing well because his cigarette was pointing up.
Yeah. And I could tell my dad had a good hand, right? because when he played a card, he would hit his knuckle. He would slam the
Smash
table
it,
with a
yeah.
card, right? So that was, and that's all of this. That's all.
Action, emotion, yeah.
Okay, action, emotion, thought. It just went around and around and around and around. Okay. So is that an example? Does that
That's a great example.
show you
actually,
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
for thought. Yeah.
So what brought that all about, okay, was this. Okay? Because this doesn't happen unless there's an intention in it.
In our bridge example,
Intend to play cards. So somebody intended to have a game of cards. Okay? Now, it could be somebody else's intention or your own intention. But at some point, you form the intention to have a card game. Okay?
Yeah.
But if you did not form the intent, you don't just wake up, find yourself in a card game.
that's true.
Yeah, but you have an intention, puts you back, puts into this thing. So there's always an intention. There always has to be an intention, yours or somebody else, before any of this happens.
But in that card game scenario, you say you have two people that have never played before.
Okay.
So they don't have that bank of memories.
Yeah, but they might have
to-
played another card game.
Well, what I was getting at is they're learning a new thing.
Yes, but the pictures
So-
they're going to look at are the pictures from other games.
Other similarities. Yeah.
Well, they're going to be thinking in terms of looking at pictures of, okay, what other card games did I play?
True.
What's this one similar to? What's it different from? They're going to be going through this constantly, right? So let's say you've played bridge before, and now you're learning 500 smear, okay? Well, if you're learning 500 smear, you're going to say, oh, okay, that rule looks like bridge, but that rule is different than bridge. Wait a minute, that rule looks like smear, and that rule looks like bridge. Okay, how does that work? And there's still a series of pictures that you're looking at, even though you don't have a consistent series of bridge pictures.
Gotcha.
You do have a series of pictures.
And you're getting new pictures, and you're shuffling and putting them in, or sorting them, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And so
Okay.
it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So, okay, so thought is, and that's why thought never creates anything. Because it's always looking at the past.
That's true. It never.
You never create anything with thought.
Well. But you're constantly building up more memories. Is that why intention seems to either fall to the wayside or not be noticed or forgotten or just blended in with thought? Because this is what we're doing, is trying to separate the two and show the difference.
Okay. As a child, if we remember correctly, when we have a baby operates on one thing: intention. It still hasn't developed the ability to think in terms, because it hasn't got a whole series of pictures to look at. So it operates on one thing: intention.
Yeah.
Hungry, scream. Right?
Yeah.
Dirty pants, scream. Right? Just intent. It intends with that scream to get its pants cleaned. It intends with that scream, or whatever it does, to get fed. It just operates. A baby basically operates by intention. Okay? Even when it learns to walk, it simply decides that it intends to go there.
That's true.
It doesn't think about it.
Yeah.
It intends to go there. A baby falls, doesn't even notice it, gets up and keeps going. Because its intention is go from A to B, and the fall had nothing to do with it. Because you see, the child still doesn't have a series of pictures, so even though he falls, he doesn't get stuck in thought that says, I should hurt now, and all that other stuff. He goes, boom, right, gets up and starts running.
So, and if you look at somebody after they've grown up and they intend to eat something, and then they start thinking, oh, wait a minute, I shouldn't eat that now. Or wait a minute.
Oh, there is so much tied. Look, okay, let's look at that.
Yeah.
Let's look at how much of this happens when somebody today intends to, like a 65-year-old person who's been up the scale, down the scale, up the scale, down the scale,
Yeah.
wants to go to a wedding and wants to look good, but wants to eat, right? You know, just every time they're going to put every time they're going to put food in their mouth, they run this.
Yes. Yes.
Have you ever seen people who sit there eating and they have this blank stare on their face? Like they're not here. They're just eating and they got this blank stare on their face.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
You ever ask yourself what that might be? Why are they
I
so
just say,
in depth
you
in
know,
conversation while, or in concentration while they're eating?
lost. Yeah, I never thought about that. I just thought they do it all the time for whatever reason, but now that you mention it, I see it a lot when they're eating.
They're doing this.
Yeah.
They're just this whole thing is going the whole time that they're eating. They're not even present. They're not with you. You're sitting at the table and you can tell they're over there somewhere. They're someplace else. They're not even with you.
They're stuck in the thought loop.
Yes.
Wow. Now that's what I'm doing right now.
You're looking at it all the time.
I'm trying to figure out, okay, that's interesting. Where do I go from there? What do you do about it? You know, that's kind of where my mind's going.
What do you do about it? Well, how do you get out of the thought?
You know, if I was to choose, I would pick action.
Why not just continually intent?
Because I'm stuck. I don't know. You know, you got to bring yourself out of it.
But if you understand what intention is, okay? If you understand what intention is, if you stay with intention, so that if you just continually intend, what happens is we intend and then we stop intending and we get on an automatic. Because we're no longer operating from intention. And we get to the point, some people never operate from intention, they're on automatic every day of their life.
Yeah. You see that a lot.
Right.
So babies, you know, 100% or almost 100% intention, and then as you get older, I can see that just declining.
Yeah. So I'm going to introduce a word here. Okay. It's called consideration. Intention has no consideration in it. It considers no. It just intends.
Right.
So what is the definition of consideration? Consideration is weighing something against another, or a set of rules that apply, or something has a priority list, something in a priority list. So we have a consideration about something. We consider whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Right? Warm or cold. These are all considerations. Remember, when a baby falls, if he has no history, he gets up. He has no consideration about it. Because he's got no consideration, he falls, gets up and goes.
Yeah, you can't weigh the alternatives or anything.
There's nothing to weigh, right? So he just gets up and goes because he's operating from intention. There are no considerations involved, okay? There's no considerations involved until the parent comes along and so, oh, poor dear, you know, what happened to you? And then the kid goes, well, I guess there's something I should be concerned about. So he develops a consideration. Consideration is, mommy's upset. Well, I should be upset. I should cry, right? He didn't have that consideration, but we planted that in consideration. So what happens as people get older and older and older is we get a massive pile up of considerations.
Okay, but now that's confusing me a little bit between consideration and thought.
Well, consideration, each one of these pictures is a consideration. And weighing this picture against this picture, this picture. So the more pictures we got, okay, and the more we're weighing each picture against other pictures.
So thought was basically picking the different pictures, and consideration is weighing the differences or the which way to go. Or,
yeah, we're looking at the pictures, and then we're applying considerations, good, bad, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And by the time we get 80, our thought is really slow. And it's true because we have so many considerations we got to weigh.
We got to consider everything.
Absolutely, right?
I remember when. Yeah, very true.
And we, as we get into our, you know, we've talked about the pyramid. So if you look at here at the top portion of the pyramid, remember we were talking about the fixed condition, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would happen right here is there's a fixed set of considerations that get pinned on everything.
Yeah,
Right?
it could be depending on the person. It could be worry about being safe, or
Yeah.
whatever their top consideration is. Mothers, have you eaten enough, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Democrats are all assholes. Nothing comes good from a Democrat.
Right.
That's the consideration. It doesn't matter what's going on. The consideration, the overriding consideration, is all Democrats are assholes. And then makes sure that he finds all the pictures that prove that. Okay? Go look at all the pictures that we got that prove
Oh, okay. So that gets in the way of thought. Even consideration before you start looking at the pictures, you've already got something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and as we go through the book, we're going to find that that's what we call the pyramid. We have a rigid opinion about something based on prior considerations. So even each one of these pictures can be a prior consideration.
yeah. But one of the big problems is how experience is so highly looked upon, that is something that people see as a good thing. Thought. Consider your past. Consider all the.
Okay, so what does the past have to do with the future?
Just comparison, how to stay safe. I don't know.
Okay, so you ever heard of the dwindling spiral?
Yes.
Okay. The dwindling spiral means basically we're living a life where we're always looking at the past, looking at the past, looking at the past, looking at the past. On every decision we make, we look at the past, looking at the past, and it doesn't matter what happens, something's going to go wrong. And if we measure every wrongness and carry and store every wrongness, okay, then we accumulate more and more wrongnesses, and so our life gets smaller and smaller and smaller. We're in a dwindling spiral.
So we're restricting ourselves more and more.
Yeah, we're moving towards the top of that pyramid we were talking about, or to the bottom of this spiral.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so that in essence is consideration and thought, right? So that has nothing to do with intention. If you're going to create something, if you're going to live a vibrant life, you have to be looking forward, not back.
It's funny because we have so much discussion on, let's say, this side of that line, thought, consideration, action, and on that side, intention. There's really not much to say, right? You just intend, you just decide, you just want to go a certain direction and go it, instead of all this.
So here's what happens. Somebody puts an intention in, okay? And then all these considerations kick in, and then we get a counter intention.
Oh boy.
Right?
And that
puts us on what we call an uncertainty. And what happens when you're uncertain?
You don't do anything.
Nothing.
You're stuck. But an encounter intention isn't quite an intention. Well, I guess it is. It's because you've decided on an opposite course, and you intend to go there. But wait, you've got your initial intention.
So uncertainty is I'm certain it's right, I'm certain it's wrong. I'm certain it's right, I'm certain it's wrong. It's two certainties counterposed. I'm certain it's right, and certain it's wrong. So I'm certain it's right with intention. This series of pictures tells me it's wrong.
And the problem is, you'd be thinking, well, then I would just pick the first intention and I'd be fine. But no, and the funny part is, no matter which way that first intention is, the counter is just opposite because of looking at all the pictures.
Because we put so much value in thought. We live in a world that's taught
thought
us
and experience, and
taught us that experience and thought are good. Right?
Yeah.
You ever notice that everybody with experience and thought dies?
Yeah.
They ultimately die, right?
Yeah.
And many of them die before they even get old.
Yeah.
They're the walking dead.
Well, it's like you say, you're uncertain, you don't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's a paralysis that I hate.
And one of the reasons is if you buy into this, you don't realize that the universe is such a thing that intention changes everything. You can put intention into the universe, okay? and create anything.
Yeah, the name that popped into my head was Elon Musk. He has so many people trying to tell him he's doing the wrong thing, and he just keeps doing it. He doesn't
He doesn't
care.
care.
He just has intention.
He doesn't have their
That's the way it looks
consideration.
like from my point of view.
Yeah.
He just says, "Yeah, okay, that's wrong. Fine, I'm gonna keep
You know,
doing it."
the great inventor Tesla had intention to create. Period. He didn't concern himself with somebody stole his patent or anything. He just kept creating,
Just kept going. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he lived long.
and he enjoyed his life. I mean, have you ever noticed people who are operating with intention? They just seem to be happy all the time.
Wow. Just think about how you're stuck in thought and you're just grim because you're weighing all the issues and
Yeah, they
Well,
tend
hold
to-
on, kid.
people
Let's
that are
not-
stuck in thought tend to look like this.
exactly. And you think, just take some action. Well, what if it's wrong? Then we'll know.
But to take action, you would have to have intention.
Well,
See,
they do, except they
action-
got the counter intention
But,
blocking
see,
it.
action. Remember, we started with intention, action.
Action.
Okay. But if you haven't formed intention, how can you take an action?
Yeah, but what about this case with intention, counter intention? Isn't there intention and then before you hit the action, or you know,
Yes.
because thought comes after action.
Yes.
So that just muddies it up for me even more.
So you put intention into something, okay,
Yeah.
and the action you take immediately is create counter intention. You look at consideration. What about the consideration? What about? And maybe it's just because people don't understand how this is structured.
Now that would make sense that before you have the intention, before you can hit the action, consideration comes in and blocks the action.
Mm-hmm. Well, even having a consideration would be an action. Because it would include self-talk, right?
Ah, all right. I forgot
So
about
all the
something.
counter intention comes from the self-talk. And we talked about self-talk being the action.
This is true. Huh.
And where,
So-
and what, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we started off with a nice, clean set of steps: intention, action, emotion, thought. And we've still got intention.
Yeah.
But the other side of that equation, you might say, has just got muddier and more complicated and more convoluted. And look at the mess you got up there,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And-
You're absolutely right. Okay. And that's a sign of deterioration.
I think so. And that's, science keeps, or I shouldn't say science, but people seem to think the more complex it is, well, the smarter you are or something. And
Okay.
this will just keep getting more complicated if we keep going down this road.
Oh,
far as
absolutely.
I mean, circles and lines and everything, and just we gotta try to show this to people, but then remind them, hey, it goes back to the original simple
Okay.
statement.
Okay, good. So now let's go and how do we reverse it? Okay, how do we want to live our life?
Yeah.
Well, don't we want to live our life on an increasing spiral?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, an increasing spiral simply means intend, take action, intend, take action, intend, take action, intend, take action, intend, take action. And when you're operating from intention and constantly but more consciously from intention,
Yes, consciously.
okay? And so most people don't operate consciously from intention. And that's why they're always faced with counter intention.
Hmm.
In fact, give me an example. So who do you know that operates from intention?
Well, like I said, Elon Musk can be the only guy I can think of off the top of my head. It's not just because he's successful, it's because I read about him and he just keeps getting attacked and criticized everything he does. But he keeps going and he keeps growing, getting bigger and bigger. I mean, he was massive with Tesla. Then he has SpaceX, and now he's even getting bigger than that. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
He just keeps intention, action,
intention.
and doing the action.
And he has no other considerations.
You know, and if you think about it, you got enough people giving you counter intentions. Why give yourself a counter intention? Why do it to yourself when everybody else is doing it for you?
Yes.
Because we're doing it ourselves all up there.
So if we operate in the void of intention, okay, let's go there
Void of intention.
with the void of intention. So let's say we're not operating by our intention. Okay, whose intention are we operating by?
God's.
Somebody listens to the news, and the news says, "Be fearful,
Yes.
be afraid." So there's an intention, isn't it? Okay?
Yeah.
So that intention is followed by an action.
Of being afraid.
Self-talk. I'm supposed to be afraid. There must be something out there as well, right? And so every action is preceded by intention. It's just a matter of whose intention is it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So intention always precedes self-talk. It's just that whose intention is it?
Okay.
So we're going to
It's not
operate
bad.
by our intention consciously, with purpose, or we're going to operate by other people's intention accidentally. And where would you say 90% or 95% of the world is operating?
Yeah. Other people's intention.
Other people's intention. And they've been operating it by so long that they don't even know that they have the ability to form an intention anymore.
Yes.
So
And-
they've come to think that thought, past, is important. And if we study the past, we can figure out what we should do in the future. The past will never teach us what to do in the future.
Very true. Very true. And you know, the first step obviously is looking at this kind of idea, getting the concept and agreeing with it if you agree with it. But it's been there so long. It's going to be a long road of, I guess, reminding yourself to act with intention.
Well, you're
Yes.
right, except I'm going to introduce something here that's really off the wall. If you remember we talked about if you understand the mechanics of something, okay, then it's easy to operate with it. So let's talk about this universe. Let's talk about how intention works. That's probably what I meant. Okay. Intention is I'll try to get to that later because it's until I explain what I'm going to explain. It's hard to put to explain what intention is. But let's look at this pen. Okay. Can you mind if I erase some of this? We don't need all of this right now.
Yeah, sure.
Where is the eraser?
I put it back up there on the top.
Oh, there. Okay. I was showing somebody this the other day, and because they told me they did something and they couldn't believe that it worked, and then I actually spent some time and I showed them this. Okay, so if I take this brush, it feels solid.
Actually, before you start, is it going to take more than a couple of minutes because we're nearing our?
Yeah, it's going to take. This is where we'll pick up next time. Okay,
That sounds like a better idea.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
because
do
we're going to pick up with how intention works.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right.